What's up guys, welcome back to another Bungie Mail Sack breakdown. This week there's something pretty cool in the introduction. Deej says, every week we pack more flesh and muscle onto the bones of this experience. This week we have some new guns to flex. We can now run the entire game from start to finish on dev kits. We saw a full feature set for the ways you'll interact with Destiny when you're on the go. The audio team got an order for sound effects that more than tripled your original arsenal of explosives. We passed out a whole raft of next-gen dev kits to the people who need them the most. One of our raids in an undisclosed location turned a corner and is now fully functional. We poured the foundation for a new wing on Bungie.net that we'll use to extend a token of our gratitude to the Vanguard. And the Vex learned a few new tricks. Now that's actually quite a lot of stuff right there. When they say they can run the entire game from start to finish, I'm guessing that means the story or campaign mode, not the actual whole game, because Destiny doesn't really have a clear ending. Also, when he says they just got one of their raids to be fully functional, that further indicates he didn't mean the entire game when he said that, because obviously if raids aren't functional yet, then the entire game is not ready to play. So again, I'm pretty sure that just means the campaign or story mode. But even so, that's pretty awesome. It definitely seems like they're making quite a lot of progress. And then he said they got the full feature set of how you'll interact with Destiny when you're on the go. So that means they've pretty much figured out what they want to do with the mobile app and Bungie.net and all that, and how it'll tie into the game, which is definitely pretty cool. I would certainly like to see what that full feature set is and what exactly we'll be able to do on the go. Then when he said they poured the foundation for a new wing on Bungie.net, I'm definitely curious as to what that might mean, and he said it's to extend their token of gratitude to the Vanguard, which is also very curious. Perhaps we'll learn a bit more about what the Vanguard means in Destiny, or maybe they're going to keep it hidden for ages, we don't really know. So that all sounds pretty awesome, and it definitely makes me wonder just how far from launch we are. I'm sure there's still lots more for them to do, but it does seem like the game is pulling together. And actually, if we scroll back up a bit here, Deej says that they know just how many weeks remain between us and Destiny, but that's a secret they're gonna keep for now. So I found that very interesting that they actually have a release date for Destiny set. I certainly would love to know what that is. Of course, since they haven't told us yet, they could always change it internally and we would never know, but I still think that's pretty awesome that they do have a goal set. Anyways, let's get into the actual questions for this week. The Hunter Kern asks, how soon can we expect the podcast? Deej says, Tuesday, spread the word, tell your friends. And then Deej adds, that's the plan anyway. So definitely expect the podcast coming Tuesday, and in the meantime, Urk was actually on the Sony blogcast this week. I haven't listened to it myself yet, but I'm gonna go do so after I get this video up. But apparently, Urk had something to say about us fans and what we mean to them, and some other things as well. It seems pretty interesting and a nice appetizer for the Bungie podcast, so I'll leave a link below if you want to go check it out. The next question comes from Blamite, who says, in the coming months, how often do you think we can expect to have sweet Bungie pods cast into our faces? And Deej says, you make it sound kinda gross. And I personally would argue that he makes it sound a bit more than kinda gross. Anyways, Deej says, as much as we'd love to make you a promise, we'd hate to write a bad check. First and foremost, we're making a game around here, and everything serves that end. So of course, the game comes first and they can't commit to any schedule. I'm sure they'll be recording them as often as they can though. And then a question from Berg, I think, who says, when was the first time someone stole your loot from a huge boss that took you a few tries to kill? Now of course, the answer to this was never, because Destiny has private loot streams that are tailored to the player, nobody else can steal your stuff, and I just thought that was worth mentioning again. And then the final Destiny related question this week comes from Chris on Facebook, who asks, what's the design process for the gorgeous backdrops in the game? And Deej says, that's a great question that would lead to a great conversation. We've been exploring the creative process in our weapon foundry, through the stories and insights from people like Tom Doyle. The locations in our game deserve the same treatment. If you're curious in that way, you're welcome to look forward to a new feature on the Bungie blog. So of course he was talking about the drawing board series where they break down weapons, and it sounds like we're going to be getting one for locations in the game, which is definitely pretty awesome, and I'm very excited to see that series coming up. Hopefully it's soon. Now to close out this week's Bungie Mail Sack, Deej said something that got me pretty excited. He says, we've hosted these conversations for many months now. For us, that time has passed in the blink of an eye. Now we find the other side of that canyon coming into focus. The Mail Sack may soon be forced to yield to more official, more traditional, weekly communiques from Bungie. Not yet, but soon. Now that, paired with a little conversation on Twitter where Tyler asks, When will Bungie weekly updates be back? And or Eric says, I think Deej should bring back the Bungie weekly update next week. You? Now obviously it won't actually be next week because at the end here Deej says not yet, and he says we can look forward to another mail sack. So not quite yet, but I think we can definitely expect to see the weekly updates coming back soon. I really enjoyed reading those every week up until the launch of Halo Reach, which was the first game I ever really kind of followed up until its launch. So I'm definitely excited to see them coming back. Personally, I think they're more interesting than the mail sacks. They just drop more hints and they're more fun to read in my opinion. So I hope you guys will enjoy those when they come out. I will of course be doing breakdowns every week just like I do for the mail sack now. Anyways, that's it for this week's Bungie Mail Sack breakdown. I hope you guys enjoyed. As always, there is a link in the description below if you want to check out the full thing. But thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next update.